Yeah, we gotta wait. Remember, we get the lag. Yeah.
Okay, we are live now. We're expecting moon as well, yes?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I guess maybe I jumped the gun on going live, but my experience is that we should not undo it. We should just let it stay.
Yeah, let it. Yeah, exactly. So I was watching, apologies for not being able to make the last one. I was kind of sneaking in on you guys through a shift when I had a chance to, but I was watching the video and Moon was absolutely correct in saying that you can get addicted to the mapping process. And so I've been picking and choosing random states and putting legislative districts on there and trying to meet that number. So
it plays to your achievement side, I bet, Chris.
I don't know. I think it plays to my OCD. So. I can see if I can reach out to Moon as well and see if her and Liz are going to be a little bit late. But.
I'm wondering why we're waiting. If anybody has any times where they know they are unlikely to be available during the summer, I know everything is changing for everyone as we're going out into seeing our families and things like that. One of the things I think we're all concerned about is timelines and availability. I know myself towards the end of July, I have some activities planned, and I just wondered if anybody else has any times that they know for sure they're going to be unavailable, that maybe we can at least note those now.
Hey, Anne Marie, this is Elizabeth. So I know for sure I will be out that week of June 21st. We're going camping, so there's no internet, there's nothing. So, but otherwise, the rest of the times look good.
Yeah. Anybody else have any times where they know for sure?
I don't have anything for sure, so.
Okay.
Anne Marie, it's Howard.
Hi. Yeah. Hi.
I mean, for what it's worth, and I don't think that I understand my input is at a different level than everybody else's, but the end of July, or from the middle of July, about the 19th until just the very beginning of July, the 1st, August, I mean the 1st, yeah. I will actually be in France.
Ooh,
yeah. So I mean, actually, that doesn't really exclude. That just if I know when you're meeting, it's possible that I can participate from there. I am on Zoom with people all over the world all the time. I mean, and I get that, but so I might be able to do it, but there's a good chance that I won't, because I'm obviously there to do things, and they will be scheduled as well. So.
Thanks.
Anne Marie.
Yeah.
So Jenny and the boys and I think are also doing something that the week Elizabeth is gone in June.
Okay.
But that's kind of up in the air.
Okay.
We'll actually be in Fond du Lac, somewhere. Tony, you're from Fond du Lac, right?
Oh, it's Appleton, just north of there.
Okay. So we got a hockey tournament coming up in Fond du Lac, I think the second week in June. So, but that's about it.
I'm wondering from Jack if government commissions or groups are starting to meet in person at all?
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about that. I think it was right as you were signing on.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, gosh, no. I don't know of any that are, but I think that we're, after June 1, perfectly comfortable with that. And the pros of Zoom, of course, are that we can all get on pretty easily, but I think it would be great to do some in-person stuff if you guys are interested in it. Yeah.
Anne
Yeah,
Marie,
I'm curious about, are we allowed to meet socially? Or is that also, how does that work?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we don't tell you what to do in your social lives. And beyond that, I think that the governor's office preference is to follow whatever local rules are in effect, which most of which are for vaccinated people. And Jason was saying before everyone got on that we wouldn't publicly poll everyone to see if they were vaccinated, but for vaccinated people after June 1 here in Dane County and Milwaukee County, and I think the rest of the state now, unmasked personal gatherings are acceptable. So we would just ask you not break local rules.
Right. No, I just mean for the transparency and public meetings requirements that obviously we will respect at all times. I'm curious about gathering and
but social gatherings
for us outside of COVID.
Yeah, I think that from an open meetings perspective, it's obviously something everyone would want to be mindful of, as I know you are. But you can certainly meet, and personally discuss things. I will say that there's that's a common issue in open meetings, world of open meetings, especially with regard, a lot of towns. I know, Jason, you live in the Hayward area, but you might live out in a town that is small, where that happens up north a lot, where a town only has a few hundred people, and the county board, of course, they all know each other and they meet at some party and accidentally discuss things and that are business. And so you just have to be super duper mindful of it.
Right.
Well, the great thing about Sawyer County is COVID doesn't exist here. So
lucky for you all.
Yeah. Well,
I won't comment on that. I think our office's positions have been clear.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly because I signed in a little bit late, but again, while we're waiting for Moon and talking about meetings, one of the things we want to discuss is how we will reach out to the public, right? When we have some maps that are worthy of showing them. They're either our final maps or our, say, penultimate ones. I'm just wondering if people would be comfortable and if it's possible, Jack, that we could maybe meet together in public or in a meeting room and maybe broadcast and actually, take input, or at some point, I think we're all going to want to sit together and define the lines, fine-tune lines or something. So I'm not sure how that will all play out, but one vision of it might be all sitting in a room and broadcasting it out to the public. And I don't know if we can get a two-way feed or if we just get input and then the next day go fine tune it and then that's our final map or something.
Yeah, that all sounds possible to me. Obviously you guys know an in-person event requires a lot more legwork, but we're open to it, especially later on, the farther along in the process we are. Now, I'm not saying this has nothing to do with the process, but the farther along in the summer we are, the safer that we'll probably feel and the more time we'd have to plan something like that. So.
Jack, you may know this before the pandemic, when before any of us were selected. Do we know where those meetings were to be held before COVID happened, or was there?
No, they weren't. I don't think that they were specifically planned where one would be in each congressional district. Obviously, each district has a few towns that make a lot of sense. Obviously, Milwaukee obviously is a city, so but I don't know. The 7th has Hayward, Superior, Wausau, Rhinelander. Those are good options, but I don't know. No, we hadn't. I don't think there was planning of that by the time that this started. it was COVID times, so we were forced into the Zoom world. So Chris, were you lucky? Did you have any luck getting in touch with Moon?
No, I haven't heard from her yet. No. Yeah, I don't have a number for you. There's the email. I don't know. Emery, do you have a number for Moon at all, or I don't have one in
Not
mind.
a telephone, I don't think.
Yeah.
I do. Let me test.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Someone does? Oh, good. I don't even know where my cell phone is at the moment. I'm running around all day. Yeah, while we're waiting, there's a kind of a lot of questions.
I was looking through your sheet that you sent out, Emery, to see if there's anything that we can touch on. You know, we don't have a majority here, but
Yeah, right. And maybe we won't be making a decision, but at least thinking
Well,
about
just
it.
FYI, everybody, this is why I contacted you guys yesterday. We noticed this meeting because it's enough people to notice it, but you can't take action on anything
Right.
given that there were no agenda items noticed. So
Yeah, okay.
discussion is fair, but
yeah.
That's good, because I think, yeah, these are discussions and maybe we're not quite ready to make any decision. But of all the maps that we are getting in, just acknowledge them. I guess we need to sort of figure out how we want to acknowledge receipt of those, both the COI maps, and I think some of them are actually district maps that are being uploaded. We need to think about that.
Are those being uploaded without names, or for the most part, are people?
No, if it's coming to our website, when you go into that,
So it has a name with it.
Yeah. It's a part of the form they fill out when they upload it.
actually, I had talked to Moon maybe a week and a half ago, because I don't know if any of you have seen, if you want to go on your computers sometime, you don't have to do it now, to michigan-mapping.org. Their commission has a public input section. We have all the pieces of it. We're the same in that sense, but theirs is sort of aggregated all into one spot. And one cool feature is that every map that's submitted is visible to everyone else. And so we had talked to Moon about kind of aggregating all of our submission stuff in a similar fashion and in a way that's easier for us to share. So I don't know what the URL would be, but for instance, if it was like Michigan's, it would be wisconsin-mapping.org.
And
And
it's their software. Oh, so
yeah. And we had also talked to Moon about the possibility of making a little bit more seamless way to consider the Dave's redistricting maps that have been submitted. I mean, we obviously haven't encouraged people to submit them using a different format, but we're going to try to use those maps, and we will be able to, but how easy it is and how well they look on a public site like that. Moon texted back.
I'll just say that if we could get something like that, that would be really nice. Then people would be able to see the map that they uploaded and know that we received it, and as well as seeing other suggestions. It's quite transparent.
Moon, for whatever reason, did not get the invite, or it does not have this on her calendar.
Okay.
She said, she says she's wondering if she is indispensable. She was about to head out on a personal matter. So I thought that she had been on the email chain with you guys. I apologize. I wasn't much involved in the planning of this meeting.
I'm sorry. I thought that she was on the email chain as well.
Well,
we were going to speak of the assembly, and she was going to give us hints on dealing with assembly mapping. I thought that was clear.
She was definitely on the chain. I mean, things happen. Yeah, this is the world is now, but yeah.
Well, Listen, I hate to waste the time of everybody here. I do wonder if maybe a better planned, something with more of an agenda would be smart. We could do that next week, or, I mean, I can make us available, get it set up quickly. Sort of loath to tell her to cancel her personal engagement, even though this was emailed around. I guess here she is. One moment.
Right. She might not be focused enough to give us the hints that she was going to do.
She was actually supposed to show us some computer drawn assembly map, so she wouldn't be able to do that anyway today.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be better to reschedule. But we did have some, Anne Marie and I had discussed, and we do have some things that we could bring up today, I think, in terms of timelines.
Yeah, well, as Jack said, we can definitely have a discussion here for the commission members that we have thus far. But decision making we'll have to bring to the larger group. But yeah, feel free. Go ahead.
Anne Marie, do you want me to jump in?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, yeah, we were expecting to hear from Moon tonight, maybe about some computer drawn assembly maps and then just more discussion about the potential congressional district maps. But Anne Marie and I have been chatting and sending emails back and forth, and we just feel like it'd be good to have a bit more of a timeline that all of us can kind of work around and maybe make our schedules around, and just feel like we are making progress as well. And so I think you sent that out, Anne Marie. Mm-hmm. But sort of the main features were to have sort of a hard deadline to use the preliminary data to try to create preliminary congressional district maps by the end of June, and to create preliminary assembly maps by the end of July, and then to relatively easily, quickly nest 3 assembly districts into each Senate district the first and second week of August. So then by mid-August, we actually have some maps. We have preliminary maps that we feel pretty good about. But I think we need to get serious about a timeline and make it firm. And I know everybody's got a schedule, they got a life, but maybe we need Maddie to map out some meeting times, map them out. And then we need to just adhere to them as best we can, starting, I guess, by next week. But then thereafter, Anne Marie and I were thinking weekly, as we get into mid-June, just weekly, have a meeting for the purpose of mapping for those that can make it. And of course, that's not going to be everybody, and especially those that have an interest in the mapping. But then every other week, it should be the full commission for approval process of what we're doing. So that was kind of where Anne Marie and I were coming from, and something we could discuss now. Do you have anything to add on that, Anne Marie?
No, that's I'm looking at my notes. That's pretty much it. We were thinking that we might want to start seriously with our weekly meetings on June 21st, but I don't know if we've got 2 people out, but maybe if it's just the line drawers, we could start then and then start going every other week. But I think it's best to have Maddie send out a survey or something.
I would do it the week before. I mean, so we can, we need to get our congressional maps done, and that should be, I would say simple, but nothing is simple. The data is out there to do it, and it's a learning process. We've talked about what elections are we looking at for proportionality? How do we assess our maps that we draw for proportionality and electoral effectiveness for VRA? All of those things have to be combined in, and I don't know that any of us have a great sense for that yet, but the congressional district maps would give us a chance to do that. So I don't think we should wait till June 21st to do that.
Yeah, that's fair. And we can have Maddie send out some doodles here and kind of see where everybody's availability is. As Anne Marie was saying, I think probably having the line drawers committee kind of being the focus of it, and then seeing where everybody else can fill in will probably be the best way to go about it. Of course, if anybody else has any interest in kind of the joining the committee too, the subcommittee, I should say, feel free. But no, that's definitely right on what we need to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
As I recall, the last larger meeting of everyone on the commission, I thought it was, at least tentatively thought it decided that the subcommittee would draft some things and then they would be put before the commission as a whole, rather than having 9 people try to. I'm not optimistic that 9 people on Zoom can draw anything.
Right, and I agree.
So I think that, and what I would like to encourage is that if it is doesn't violate anything, if the line drawing committee can actually meet to do that, and isn't confined to the Zoom process, I'm concerned that this cannot be done in 2-hour increments. Okay, so at some point you're going to need more time together to actually draw the whole map, because you don't know exactly what you're going to have to, you can't predict in advance what you're going to have to do to actually get the final moves on the map. Okay, what's going to move when something else is adjusted, how you're going to compensate for adjustments, and so on and so forth. That's going to be complicated. And my experience with large groups drawing maps, and I actually have very specific experience of that, is that they literally stand over a table together with pencils in their hands. Okay, it is primitive. Okay, it is people literally drawing together, looking over one another's shoulders. It is not, I don't think it's easily susceptible to this kind of process. Now, maybe I'm old fashioned and I don't get the potential of this process, but it's hard for me to visualize exactly how it is that you are going to virtually look over one another's shoulders. I just don't see how you do that.
That could be an agenda item for next week, with Moon definitely there as,
yeah,
should we meet? And the other comment would be, Howard, we can definitely meet, but if there's 3 or 4 of us in a room that don't know what we're doing, we're not going to get much done. So
no, I'm giving you,
it has to be with an expert also available, maybe on the computer or something.
Right. But what I'm suggesting is that it's going to take some drafting that's then submitted to the body as a whole, number one. And number two, that it's going to take, that if you are literally together, and maybe together with somebody on a computer, I don't want to, some hybrid arrangement like that. If you're not saying, oh, it's 2 o'clock, the 2 hours are up, we're done, no matter where you are, what's going on, you're better off. That's what I'm suggesting, because you're going to pretty soon get into a process that I think is going to require you to improvise. Okay, and you can't just plan improvisation. It's like contradiction in terms.
Well, I think Tony and Anne Marie, I'm sorry, didn't mean to, but sort of general sketched plan sounds one that's pretty open to improvisation, that is meeting in some fashion weekly, with larger meetings less frequently, but still happening regularly.
Right.
And I think that this next step then, for one, is to get something with Moon planned for next week, but then also to send out a really comprehensive survey of when everybody's free each week. And then what we'll do is I guess that there is a question that maybe we can't fully answer until next week, but whether we do how many people want to be involved in the actual pen to paper, mouse to screen drawing of the maps. Because if it's just the line drawing committee, then we have the option of you guys meeting a little bit long, just the 3 of you, long form meetings by yourselves, and then presenting it to the commission. I personally think a weekly on YouTube sort of whatever it's on, but what we're doing now is better, but that's just me. And Tony, I saw you shaking your head, so.
Well, I shaking my head because I think at this point, I'd like to get away from saying line drawers subcommittee. I think there's people that have done well with map drawing and have expressed interest, and those are the people that should be involved. I mean, I'll plan to be involved to support it, and I think Anne Marie will be involved, but I think others have shown, skill, and they need to be involved if possible. And so it's not just the line drawer subcommittee.
Yeah.
So I don't know what we call it. We can still call it the line drawer subcommittee, but we need to open it up.
Well, we're not saying that we're not opening it up. We're saying in order to to open meeting laws, right? Like where we have to go in terms of opening it up to the larger group versus opening it up to the focus subcommittee for drawing the line, essentially. So it's not, in that right, we're moving forward if we have Moon present there too, and we have somebody that's able to provide expertise on the subject, and then open it up to a larger group to see where we want to go. We're not excluding anybody from the process, but we're more so trying to focus in, is how we're saying it, so we don't have, 9 different streams of thought on the process.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, to me, that sounds very practical.
So I guess I'm most concerned about the approximately next step, which I think is one, planning something with Moon next week. 2, getting everybody's schedule on for the next 2 to 3 months, really.
And I would say also probably getting Moon's schedule too, because as Tony was saying, in order to kind of stay on task here, she would be pertinent to have in the situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and can we jump forward to Anne Marie's point earlier about sort of like going to our end state of when we launch our maps, and working backwards a little bit about how that's going to work, how we're going to announce it, and should we be blocking time in order to enable that now, because we kind of know when that's going to be, in addition to all this other stuff.
And Susan, are you done? I just, the meeting next week with Moon, if we could try to get her for more than an hour. If we draw maps, there doesn't seem to be a lot of time to ask questions, and we have a lot of questions. So at least an hour and a half, if not 2 almost.
We'll try to block off 2. I mean, I don't see why not, I guess. And I'll ask, I'm going to call Moon. I talked to her briefly. We're going to talk tomorrow, so I'll just make sure she understands exactly what we're all saying right now, or what you're all saying right now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
With regards to rollout too, Susan, I know before Molly Vidal left, we talked about different methods to potentially roll everything else out. And Jack, I know we had talked briefly about maybe someone taking her place and stepping into there too. Has there been any more movement on that, just to be sure that we?
I guess they're hiring someone now, and that person who's just taking her job may help us out. I'm sorry, I don't have more movement on that.
Okay.
I do have, I've got a position approved for our map drawing fine tuner, GIS specialist, for once the census data comes out. And I'm just working through the sort of like bureaucratic getting that officially stood up, and I'm going to reach out to GIS experts at at the 2 universities that have geography PhD departments, which is UWM and UW-Madison. So I know you were asking about communications, but I just thought of that. So we'll have that.
I imagine that role is going to be super important as we get towards the end about, sort of the strategy about how we do, as Anne Marie described, our final drawing together, how we bring sunlight and public attention to that, how it is that we, get our thinking in front of the legislators, all that kind of stuff. I would imagine that's going to need some communication strategy support.
Yes, I agree. Well, I will, by the end of tomorrow, I think, get a doodle out to you guys or everybody about, well, I guess about a time next week and ongoing, 2 separate things. Yeah.
Yep. All right, guys. Emery, you have anything else, or anyone
I
else?
was just going to add, in our area, we're starting to collect communities of interest information. We're having our first, we're calling it a Mappy Hour, where we're asking people the community to come, and we're going to have a couple people set up and start mapping it. And then there's an online one where we'll be using Zoom, doing a little intro to anybody that shows up, and then going in breakout rooms where there'll be a knowledgeable person kind of interviewing and helping the other person or other group of people that want to define a community of interest. So that model is just being fleshed out, and the intro slides and how to set up the Zoom and stuff like that. So that's available if anyone is interested in any details. If you email me, I can let you get in touch with the person who really is the most knowledgeable about it.
That's great, Emery. Yeah, no, I think probably we should all kind of delve into that too in our individual districts too, just to make sure that we're getting that message out. And Jack and I had talked a little bit about how we can sort of make a little bit more of a footprint in terms of getting that information to some groups that potentially have not gotten it. I've made, can't tell you how many phone calls I've talked to people in our district here to try to get some groups out. But yeah, no, that'll be great if you can send that out, Emery.
Yeah, we can do that. And then, maybe as a commission, possibly we need to have some sort of public announcement or note or encouragement that goes out, really across the state as a unified message saying, we are collecting this, it's serious, we really want this information, and just kind of encouraging people to go to Districtr. And, I don't know if there's references that we can use, include in that to have people help figure out how to do it. But I don't know how we want to approach that.
If there's a new Molly Vidal, that would be an early job for that.
That's
yeah.
Okay, yeah. I will try to have an update for us by next week on that.
Okay, sorry to foul on there, Jack. But
It's okay.
One question, I had thought Moon had said the COI maps were kind of into June. What, is there an end date now, or what are we hearing about COI maps in terms of they need to be in by, or?
I think that the best, like my understanding, so I guess this is something we might want to ask her, but that it could be later, especially if you guys are drawing the assembly maps in July, that up until then would be fine. I mean, the farther you zoom out, the less each community of interest matters. So you'd think that with the congressional districts, it's not quite as salient as with the assembly districts. So it seems to me a mid-July sort of target. There is no hard deadline because we can always judge whatever maps you have against what we have at that moment. But it does, obviously, the farther along in the process, get harder and harder to change. So
just to give you an idea, Tony, before we got the news that the census data was going to be pushed back, the initial timeline that she gave when we first signed the contract was that the aggregation report was to be delivered in June. And that was, expecting our census data, months before then what we're going to expect it now. So probably pushed back into July, as Jack was saying, or
yeah.
And Jack, that's great news about the student. Did you say they may join us before August or in?
My hope is that there would be somebody completely lined up and set for like August 1, so that we're well in advance. I mean, the Census Bureau, the Census Bureau says that they will have the legacy data, the redistricting data out by August 16th. It seems like everybody's expecting it to be then, essentially, but I think we want to give ourselves a buffer to be ready for that person to maybe begin work. And so
definitely get to know us and
exactly, at least meet you all, and so my plan now is I've got to get the position description over to the people that need that sort of thing. And then I was going to reach out to those departments and see if they have people in mind that would be interested in such a thing. And then maybe I was going to talk to Chris individually first, and then maybe everybody about how the final steps of that decision would go. So.
Thanks for all your work, Jack.
Hey, thank you for saying that. Thank you. Thank all of you for your work. So, yeah, I mean, I guess today we're chalking it up to a little bit of a loss, but we will get things planned a little better for the next coming weeks. So.
All right, guys. Well, we'll keep an eye out for the doodle from Maddie, and we'll check back in with Jack. And thanks for everybody for coming out and making time. And we'll see you next week. So,
thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.